It's so good, dude. Pure leaf raspberry. So good. It just it hits all the right spots. So yeah, that was one of the perplexing things for me that I've been waiting for somebody to mention and they haven't. So I'm like, well, I'm going to say something before 2025 hits because with Night Ring coming out, people are saying they have their opinions about. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Night Ring so much. It's going to bring a whole ball of wax that's different to the genre of the kind of style of gameplay that it's representing, but with its own twist. Like the fact that you have to go fight shit on your way to the pickups. It's not like Apex Legends. You run, you get the pickups, you run, you get the armor, you run, and then you engage with the enemy. You got to find them. This, you have obstacles in your way to get to a boss. Like that's, you have to pick and choose the path that you're going to take. You're going to split off too far from your teammates. You only have 15 minutes to like kill shit, get pickups, find stuff, find chests, go explore. 15 minutes is a whole entire round. So 10 of those minutes, maybe less. I'd say 8 I'd spend just fucking killing shit and picking up stuff and go, 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 go. But I want to stay close to my team. Now, for those of you that are going to play it solo, the challenge is going to be picking a direction and sticking with it, or zigzagging because you're not getting anything, like, and knowing that, okay, I'm on a time crunch. I would say if I was doing it solo, I'd spend 10 minutes just going to town, trying to get as much as I possibly can and avoid fighting things until that fire, that ring of fire kicks in. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to run and grab, run and go, just run and grab what I can, and try to avoid combat as much as possible before that ring. And then after the ring, 100% avoid combat, run and go, grab, run and go, grab, run and go, grab until the boss, because you're going to have to try and figure out the boss. And it's going to take you 15 minutes every time. And the bosses are random. So you may go in grabbing a whole bunch of shit and like, fighting monsters in the first night to get like, money and stuff like that. But if you don't beat that boss that first go, you got to start from the beginning. Whereas with a team, you have people there that can revive you. They can help you. And if your team wins, you still get to the next night. I'm guessing that would make the most sense. That, if you're down and we can't revive you, but you're in the arena, you're there, you progress with us. We get you a medevac stat. As soon as the boss is dead, let's go back to the tavern. Fucking, let's heal you up. Let's wrap you up with some leaves and put some salve on there. You'll be good to go. It's a nice calm one here, so I'm glad to get in and be cozy, the hidden superhero says. Yeah, it's raining. It's raining. It's kind of like London here right now. Just fucking raining. It's just raining. Speaking of which, it's going to be time for a safety meeting soon. So if you all want to join me in a safety meeting of your choice, it doesn't have to be what I'm keeping safe with. You can keep safe with a fucking cup of hot cocoa, tea, coffee, beer, wine, OJ, whatever. Just be safe about it. Don't burn your mouth. Or give yourself brain freeze. There's a lot of hazards in imbibing and consumption. Rainy in Detroit this morning. Oh man, dude, you in Detroit? What time is it in Detroit? Aren't you like 2 hours behind me? I think, right? I don't even know. I'm so bad with time zones, man. Time for me is just an illusion. It's relative. and it's also an illusion. So it's something that's an illusion and relative. It's a mind fuck. That's why I have a hard time with Placidusax's arena, because I'm like, as soon as I lay down and it starts going backwards, I'm like, oh shit, have I gone past the event horizon? am I getting sucked into the black hole here? Fuck. The last thing anybody sees of me is that I lay down. And that's it. It's over. Elden Ring. The credits roll. Thank you, Bandai Namco. Thank you, FromSoft. Thank you, Miyazaki. Thank you, George R.R. Martin. Peace out. It's done. It is noon. Oh, it's noon here too. Okay, so we're on the same east. But yeah. So the other thing is that like the eclipse is in the Elden Ring. So like, I realized it a long time ago, but then as I kept looking at the Elden Ring and more people were like, yeah, it's just a bunch of runes of light. And I'm like, oh, cool. You know, like the Sipafada, and like, I'm like, okay, you know, there's certain light weapons in the game. There's like one really good dark weapon, which is basically the same fucking sword, in the DLC. But what am I looking at when I'm looking at the Elden Ring? Like, what am I looking at? And at the very top, I kept going back to like I think it's Godric's room, like the base room where the blessings would pool. And I'm like, the very top of the Elden Ring looks like the last moment before you have a total occultation. You have a total eclipse. It's the last rays of sunshine, of sunlight, that are coming into your face before that. And what threw me for a loop was the fact that like on the Twitch recap right now, if you go to your Twitch recap, they have a section where they have the total eclipse. But you don't even have to do that. If you just do a search for NASA total eclipse, it'll be there. It'll be on YouTube too, but it shows you it in real time so you can see what I'm talking about, where the moon is moving across the sky in front of the sun, and just the moment before, it's all flashbanging in your face with the white, like the camera can't deal with it. You see, it's just a white. I'm warning you guys now, there is a fucking flashbang and a half when the camera lens just has all of that gravitational lensing into it, because that's what it's doing. The moon is bending. It's forcing the light to bend around it because it's moving in front of it, and the light wants to keep going forward. It's going to go, but it wants to shine. You know, it wants to shine. Gravitational lensing, the light bends around objects. That's why you can see them from behind. If it didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to see any of what I'm talking about. When you saw a total eclipse, it would be black. No little halo, no little ring. That's gravitational lensing. So the moment that it comes in front of that last stretch of light, there's a big flashbang of white light, and then it's just silvery, shiny, silvery. I said silvery light. And then moments later, it's starting to move away. And the moment the moon starts moving, where the light can focal once again and bend around, and it doesn't have to do so much work because it's not hitting so much moon, it gets golden again. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So for me, the black moon went in front of the sun and obscured it. The occultation, at the moment of occultation, it drained the sun of its color, and it drained all the dragons of their color. And everything golden was drained of color. The tarnishing occurred. It's not just Godfrey. It's not just that this was like the first tarnishing. When the moon did this. And after that, you know, you got your somber dragon smithing stones, the ancient ones. You got your somber stones. These were imbued with such a power, such a concentrated power, that it was just all the color was gone. It's just no more, unalloyed gold. It's just this silver. And I honestly, this may be the moment when that ripple, that silver drop of dew that the Albinorix come from, this may have caused it. But again, you're making artificial life. You're fucking with shit. You shouldn't have blah, 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 whatever, right? Because we know the sorcerer's ancestors are the astrologers. Here we go. Now, I'm mad. You guys are fucking with shit. Yeah, here comes Estelle. Boom! Crashes into the nameless eternal city. Takes their night sky. Bow. Now, does this happen while they're above ground? Or does this happen when they're below ground? We don't know. I would say when they're above ground. That would make sense that they're banished after this happens. But Estelle ravishes the nameless city. Takes their sky. They're all done. When you get to the nameless eternal city, it is in shambles. It is in total ruin, disarray. The other cities are kind of broken and fucked up, but like their structures are pretty good. They're intact. Not the nameless. This thing is assailed by Estelle. The gravity magic Estelle does in Estelle's fight. Either Estelle fight. You imagine this hitting your city. Just imagine Estelle for a minute, just like teleporting in from the void portal, boom, 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 making doubles of itself. Bah, 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 bah. Or the natural void of the void doesn't do that. If that's the one that did, because we find that with the night sky, regardless, still a force to be reckoned with. Very powerful. Jaws, big globule body with tail swipes. It's a nightmare. But there we go. Now, I don't think those buildings would have lasted with an Estelle tramping around on top of them. And now, because of this, they are banished. You got to get out of here. You no longer can look up at the sky and do anything fucked up shit and move things and call upon this and that. I mean, look, you have Azor, you have Lestat. Like, these are powerful astrologers that become the founding sorcerers of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Another thing that I see people talking about at all, and it's always weird. Raya Lucaria and the Carrier Manor, the Carians, the dogs, they're wolves. They're wolves. Okay? They're carrion wolves. Carrion, someone's like, oh, the birds, the carrion birds. Wolves. They're wolves. The Carians are wolves. That being said, Raya Lucaria. I feel like the Academy was called something else before it was called Raya Lucaria. That's my take on it, because Lucaria means Luna Carrier, right? Luna Wolf. Okay. Raya, stars. That's star shit. Lucaria is moon, wolf shit. So when Radagon goes over there with Renala, he makes his wolves. They're wolves for a reason. He's with the queen of the Carians. He's not going to make a fucking lion. It's a wolf. He might have misbegottens from, the Golden Order. Those are lions, the battlefield, the lion, all that shit. Caria, wolves. Okay. So I wonder what Raya Lucaria was called before the merger. Before Queen Renala, the Carrion Queen, rolled up on him and say, hey, yo, check it. I know you guys are down with this starship, but let me show you this. Bam! They're like, whoa! We didn't know. And this dude, fuck it. I always forget his name, you guys. The guy from the DLC. The Carrion sorcerer you find in Manus, whatever the fuck it is, his fucking guy with the hat. His hat is what got me. His hat. He's got the hat with the big gaping hole, and I thought first, oh, that's the moon. And then it reminded me, oh, that's the black moon. You know, it's dark, it's black, it's see-through. It's like it goes right through. Like it's empty. And then the description, of course, tells you, oh, it's designed to represent the greater will in the void. Like the void. The void is the greater will. That's what it is. It's the everything. It's what Lusat and Azure glimpsed into. And I think that's what happened with this guy. He looked into the void and saw that beyond the moon was way more shit. The stars, beyond the stars, the star clusters. Like he went and then he stopped himself and realized, okay, I understand now that something from there came here and I got to find it. And that's how he got hooked up with the mother of fingers and shit. What's up, Luna? But that's my take. That's my theory again. Like, but I think that the black moon again was the sacrifice basically for the Nox, you know, the Newman that pulled this off. Or maybe it was the Nox. By that time, they figured it out. I don't know. But the Sun Realm, that's a long time ago to be not the Sun Realm. Like, the Sun Realm was established a long time ago, and then it was destroyed a long time ago. So it's still, its destruction is considered ancient. You know, that's why when you find the bodies of the ancient dragons, you're like, oh my God. And they're made of stone. Like, they're stone. And then what else is made of stone? America's body, Radagon's body, they're stone. Are shamans draconians? No, because you can pick to be a Newman or a draconian. So they're not the same thing. Okay, where does that leave us? Well, we got stone people, we got stone dragons. And those stone dragons make me feel like, oh, okay, I get why they are embedded in the rock in Fair Missoula. Fair Missoula is a temple. Again, it is not a city. They had a city. It was, but Fair Missoula is just a part, one surviving part of a massive city, a part of a massive kingdom that stretched wherever the sun rays hit. The sun hits a lot of places, but there are places it doesn't. Underground, for instance. Okay, we get that. That's simple. It's not rocket science. But then the eclipse. And what does that bring? It keeps death and death at bay. What does that mean? How did you guys figure that shit out? Did you kill somebody right at the moment of eclipse and they didn't die? And now they became undead? What happened to the dragons? Why did they have to defend their lord as a wall of living rock? And then when they die, they turn into stone. When Marika dies, she turns into stone. When Radica dies, Radagon is a stone heap, and then the fucking Elden beast comes out and turns him into a sword. But after that fight, Marika's body is still there. And the sword is still there. So upon death, they finally separated. You know what I mean? It just makes you think. It makes you think, what the fuck is going on with stone? Another thing that ties into this is the wisdom of stone. Who made the Crystallians? A lot of people lately are like, you know, and these are the things that they're talking about, like, oh, Rao ruins in the DLC, all the ruins in, you know, the base game, they're all connected, they're part of the same dynasty, got it. I love it. It makes sense. It's all over the lands between. It touches everywhere. That whole dynasty went everywhere. Perfect. What the fuck were they doing? They were dealing with spirits. They were using spirit technology. That's a whole, we don't even have anything like that. Like, ghost hunters are the closest thing we have to spirit technology. Fucking, you know, ectoplasm machines are like Ghostbusters. That's spirit technology. These people were using ghost busting spirit technology. They're using lodestones, making spirit stones, exploding stones with spirits, and all kinds of spiritual manipulation and energy transference and stuff like that. Kind of like, like Full Metal Alchemist or something. They were transferring spiritual energy into stone. That's what a lot of people have this idea that maybe the golems that we fight in the base game are powered by the fire sprite spirits, because there are other spirits, there are other fairies. There's not just one kind, and we got confirmation for that in the DLC. So with that, it's like, okay, so these people, the ancient people who had all those pillars and shit that we have to traverse. A good example of is the Runestrewn Precipice. The Runestrewn Precipice is just a fucking big drop in the middle of the lands between, well, not in the middle, but like it's just it's not off on the shore, let's put it that way, but it's a straight drop, like a chasm, like the ground ripped apart, and these ruins are how you make your way up the thing, and there's these little pulleys with like elevator pulleys and stuff, and you get up to the boss fight, and the boss fight is it's that fucking golem. You find it laying there in the fucking raw ruins, in a puddle of water. And you had to go down to go up. It was crazy. Scaling this fucking mountainside where the ruins are embedded in the rock. And I was like, what the fuck? They didn't build these from the rock. This is like lava. This is like if a fucking volcano erupted and just wiped all this shit out. And they were so big. They're so huge. The archways are so huge. Again, thinking of like the Titans and perhaps their descendants, like these beings. And then the Rao, who the fuck were they? We don't have anything depicting what they may have looked like or anything, but we have their fucking technology because the Horn Scent grabbed it and they were like, oh, look, we can make spirit explode. Side me up. I'm in. Boom, 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 boom. But I think that whoever the Rao were, maybe one amongst them, or the technology that they found digging, because the Rao are the ones that found that chunk, a shard of a fucking arrow that they used to make a fucking greatsword. Like, this is a chunk of an arrowhead. It's huge. And they dug it up. So they were excavating in the lands way back in ancient times, trying to find more and more and more about where they are and what happened with the old gods. The old gods are some. Maybe they were around with the old gods. Maybe they fought them. Maybe they buried that shit there and then later on they brought it back out. I don't know. We don't know. All we know, I mean, hey, it could have been like they buried it and then the Hornset dug it up. We don't know. All we know for sure 100% is that you find it in the raw ruins and it was excavated. That's all you know. They dug it out of the ground. So some big fucking event happened with these big ass people using these big ass arrows to kill who the fuck knows what. That was that big that you need a big ass arrow to shoot it with. If you're fighting small shit, you just step on it or you swat at it. You don't need an arrow the size of a tower. So who knows? Oh my God, could you imagine the size of the bow that they had to use? These things are massive, fighting whatever the fuck they were fighting. But the old gods were fighting against something. And they had an arsenal. And one of those bits of arsenal is a shard. It's a piece of an arrowhead that is so big that it functions as a great sword in the game. It just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, I'm of the mind. I like to think about that the Black Moon was the one that was used to drain the sun of its color and start fucking up shit. And I think that the Nox are responsible for that because the Nox are responsible for a lot of things. But I think that the Finger Slayer blade ties into that moment as opposed to it being a part of, the Night of the Black Knives. A lot of people are like, oh, the Night of the Black Knives and the Finger Slayer blade is the proof of the high treason of the Night of the Black Knives. But it doesn't make sense. Who was the one who went and killed some fingers? Or who was the one that damaged the Elden Beast? It says it can wound. It's known to be able to kill the Elden Beast and its vassals. Whoa. How do you know this thing can be hurt by this? It must have happened before. Some fingers might have been killed. The Elden Beast might have been hurt. Or that could have happened way before. We don't know. All we know is that somebody used this blade and hurt something. One of the vassals, the Elden Beast itself, we don't know. It could have been Marika. Somebody could have stabbed her. Cracked her shit up. We don't know. We know it was used on someone. It's still stained with the blood of its victim. So, and now it's hidden. Because it's hard to make, I guess. To make one of those is a lot of work. It's made from a corpse and some crazy ritual. So they only got one. They only had one shot at it, and they did it, and they blew it. Or maybe they succeeded. We don't know. We just know that they did it. That's all we know. They did it. So with that, I'm of the mind and thinking, okay, what if the Rao, because again, a lot there is a thought of that the Rao is the same person that made the golems and the imp statues, because, or at least their science, because the crystal darts are used to incapacitate them and turn them against each other. Right. Okay. It works on golems. It works on, now, does it work on the crystallians? I think so. I want to say yes. I can't remember. I could have swore I did it with the triple fight in the Lake of Rot, but I can't remember for 100%. So don't quote me. But if it does work on them, it would explain a lot. It would explain that maybe, just maybe, the image of the Rao that we're looking for are the crystallians. Maybe that's what they look like. And they shape them in their own image. I don't know. I have to double check that. So I'm making notes right now about whether that works. Because I haven't actually fought. Me and Artie, we were in my game and we were in a tunnel. And I thought this was going to be a dual crystallian fight. Because he was like, oh, this is the double crystallian. I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to get to use my crystal darts to see if I can short circuit one out. I walked in there. I only saw one, so I didn't bother wasting them because I don't have the book yet, and those are dropped for me. So because I was doing a lot of catacombs, so I was like, I need crystal darts, help, and someone was nice enough to drop me some crystal darts. So that being said, that is as far as I can get with the whole stone thing, because all the stone stuff seems to act the same, and the manipulation of stone with spiritual energy is a theme huge in the DLC that we were missing the connection to in the base game because we didn't know. We just didn't know. We saw the evidence of manipulation, but we didn't know what were the connecting factors, what was the catalyst, and now we know that the Rao were like geniuses when it came to spiritual connectivity with stone. But I think also the Rao, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this part, they were connected with the spiritual energies around them and the spirits around them in a different way. We know that it's not like how the Hornset are. And the Hornset see stuff and they grab it and they want to utilize it as a weapon to establish themselves, give them more power over And this is going to bring me back to occultation in a minute, but they give them more power over the others to bring them into the fold or die. There was no middle ground. You couldn't just get kicked out. You either had to conform or die. And you see this. The shaman are getting forced into jars. They're having all these experiments. You go into the storeroom, the storehouse, and you see all these exhibits and all these creatures. Their idea, they aren't going to wait for God to come to them. They're going to make their own God that's going to do what they want their God to do. They're going to have their prayers answered. They're going to have a God that remakes the world in their image as they see fit. So everyone's horn sent, and we don't have any disparity. We don't have anyone different. Everyone in the lands between is going to be a horn sent. Period. Done. That's the goal. It's the goal of any fundamentalist, zealot, driving force out there. Anyone who is a fundamentalist in that sense of the word, it's like our way or the highway, which are what the horn set are 100%. Not all of them, of course. We know some that aren't. We know about the potentate that left the village and said, I don't want to do this, and has the cookbook of the flowers and stuff like that. We know that not everybody was on board, and rightly so. But the majority of the functioning class that ran shit there in the land of the tower before it became the land of shadow was all about, you got to do what we believe. You have to believe in we believe. You have to adhere to what we say, or you're going to die. Because I can't make you see our way is correct. You're going to fucking die. We're going to put you to use. Because they're not just killing people. They're putting them into jars with shaman to force them to transform into something else. They're trying to control the flow of life. They're trying to make their own spiral. Fun fact about that. Again, I'm going to get to occultation in a second. Have you guys noticed? Has anyone noticed ever? Because I have. When you are summoned or invading, either co-op, and co-ops are gold, summons are blue, invasions are red, right? That way you can tell everybody apart. Okay, fun. Every time that you are pulled into another world or return to your world, you come through a column of spiral. Every time. When you die and your runes are there, those runes, they make those little branches. Those branches. You know what makes me think of those branches? The fucking shadow of the Earth Tree avatar. The sunflower. How it moves, it's got all these roots down there, and your souls are sprouting from these little root systems. They're these little branches spreading out from the roots, right? When we come back through a golden color. It's a different color than the co-op. It's the rune color. It's our little tree of runes that we go fucking mindlessly trying to get back to. Every time we die, that we don't have a sacrificial twig. And they're little twigs. They're little sprouting. They're shoots. They're stems. We go back to them, but that's what they are. They are connected to grace, to the Earth Tree, to America. Because she's so intertwined with it, she can't separate. I mean, she tried. She tried to shatter herself. And Radagana was like, nope, bing, 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 bing. Okay, this is good enough here. Can you work with that? Yep, I got you. Boom. Fucking crucified her ass inside the tree, so she can't get away. She can't leave. The only thing inside of that is the Elden Ring. That's why a lot of people think that her spirit, the goddess's spirit, the eternal America's spirit, is that huge humanity the golden humanity in the round table hold, which is in another pocket dimension all by itself. So like, again, spirit manipulation, stone, we know according to the lore that they did some shit with America. She's a god, or they did some shit with her knowing better after they did what they did with the jars. So for instance, a lot of people are like, oh, they stuffed her in a jar with Radagon and all these people, all these aspects of all these different powerful things to make a god, all the aspects of life, aspects of Rod, life and death, time, fire, like different aspects. A lot of these people are criminals. There are people who are heretics. You have the people who have the vision of flame. They probably but what does it tell you in the prophet? These people see a vision of flame. Now, is that from the time miracles? But what if these people have always been seeing the vision of flame? Now, they're seeing it burn down the Earth Tree, but what if they saw it burning down something else? What if they saw it burning down the tower? The land of the tower, the church. What if these people just see the flame? That's their thing. They have the vision. They have the gift of sight when it comes to the flame. And nobody wants to hear about that shit. America didn't want to hear about it when they said, it's going to happen. The Earth Tree's going to burn. Maybe the Horn Set didn't want to hear it when they said, there's visions. Someone's going to burn down all of it. Nope. You got to get locked up. Go put yourself in a jar. Bing, bing, bing. Tap, tap, tap. Done. Sealed. Done. They didn't want to hear that shit. There's no way they could be toppled by what? Who? A guy with some snakes? What's this about snakes? We dig snakes. We're cool. Snake. It's a bestial thing. Look, we have divine birds. We have divine lions. We could have a divine snake. All animals are great. It looks like the Horn Scent are really just crazy animal lovers. And some of them even were like, yeah, I'll be down to sacrifice to become something new. Yeah, absolutely. Like the betterment of it. We don't know how far down the rabbit hole of it goes with that whole concept of knowing that the gates of the divinity were going to be opened. Maybe not in the way that they thought, because, from the story trailer, it's like there is a massive wipeout. And then she's there. She takes the golden rays and fucking makes the shit happen. And we know for a while that she was there with the Horn Scent. And a lot of people say too that like, oh, the Crusaders came and they built their statues of America. I feel like some of those statues of America were there before the war because of the betrayal. Like how you have to have an expectation to be betrayed, right? Like, for instance, we're friends, so I would never expect you to do something that would hurt my feelings. Now, those things happen by accident, of course, but to purposely do something that is going to hurt my feelings, I don't expect that because we're friends. That's the whole idea behind betrayal. You betrayed your friend's trust because you did something knowing that it was going to hurt, but you did it anyway. That there's no room for accidents in that sentence, right? So for America to have betrayed the Horn Set, she had to know that her actions were going to lead to a consequence that would hurt them. That's betrayal. You doing something that is going to hurt somebody else. The word is not attacked. It's not like revenge. They're specifically using the word betrayal and seduction. So with the intent, now seduction is not necessarily evil. The way that the Grand Dame says it, it's like, oh, the strumpet, the temptress, okay. So seduction is not necessarily bad, but in that concept, it seems like really bad. In that context, she is tearing her off. She is telling all her business. But seduction is not bad. You can become seduced by anything. A lot of the allure behind seduction is always in the negative, because seduction implies that you're being swooned into a direction you otherwise would not have been. But I can see a trailer on TV for a fucking video game, and now I want to play it. I've been seduced. They got me. That's seduction. I've been seduced into wanting to play this game. I didn't know about it. And someone put a lot of effort to make it seductive. The art of enticement and seduction. But seduction also has become synonymous with sexuality. So enticement is not so much, but they are in the same circles. I've been enticed by the vision of this gorgeous XYZ. This gorgeous XYZ has seduced me into getting into a cab. You see what I mean? They're similar, but they're not used in the same context usually. So when they use seduction, it's leaned and implied to more of a sexual nature than anything else. But it doesn't mean that it is. That's the point. It doesn't mean that it was sexual. But again, it's driven home more with the Grand Dam saying harlot, strumpet. Like it implies that it was of sexual nature. The seduction took place. It revolved a sexual encounter. It was steeped in sexuality. So it's not enticement and betrayal. It's not bribery and betrayal. Like, it's none of those. They are specific. So once I reconsolidated that in my mind as like, no, this is definitely meant to be sexual, then I didn't have to worry about, okay, so what does this mean? And what does that mean? Or what it could mean or what it could not mean. I blew, it's gone out the window. It's a sexual thing. There was a sexual occurrence. Something sexual happened. Now, the betrayal. The betrayal goes with Mesmer. That's the betrayal. So one didn't happen and then the other occurred immediately. It looks like the seduction occurred. Then Marika got what she wanted. Then after that, she was ready for some betrayal. But that's time. There's time in between those things. And now, going back to the occultation, I did not forget. The occultation in science, in astronomy, is the obstruction of the sun's light to our Earth. The moon is obstruction. That's called occultation. We have occultation in the game. The people who would not submit to, and it tells you in the base game, the occultation, the eye of occultation. You have two of them. You have the seal of grace and you have the eye of occultation in Elden Ring. They look like the sore and scar seals of Marika and Radagon. They obscure grace from your sight. Priests in the lands of the tower, before it was the land of shadow, were making people succumb to grace. They were giving it as though it was the body of Christ in Catholicism, just for an example. They were anointing people with grace. Now, remember in the base game, Marika would bestow the blessings of the Erd Tree upon people, right? Herself. It used to be done by others, apparently. But now she's the sole person who's doing this. We don't know when that occurred, but I'm guessing it was after she became top dog. So she's the one giving out the seeds to her champions. She's the one that's giving the sap out as crystal tears to her champions. She's the one bestowing the Crimson Flask healing people, like people, oh my God, this is our God. She's fantastic. Oh my God, praise America. Let's go. Right? Fine. But then there are people who are like, fuck that shit. We know about the old God. And she's like, listen, that time is done. You know, it's my time now. I'm the God. But what about this? And what about that? Okay, you don't want grace? You sure you don't want grace? It tastes so good. Look, grace. You sure you don't want this? Okay. And what happens to the people that don't want it? They get occultation. They get their shit obscured so they cannot see grace. And then they're left to wallow in anguish. That's what they did. They gave people, or they took the ability to see it away. That's fucked up. Like when I realized what those two items were in the game, I was like, oh my God. Not only were you just not left to your own devices because you didn't believe, but they made it so that you could not ever be a part of their world as long as you had this occultation in your eyes. You couldn't see so basically you weren't going to go to the lands between. You weren't going to the Greats Given. You were going to stay in the land of shadow. You were going to stay there. So all the people who got grace were allowed to go and expand the empire and go out and spread the teachings of America to the other lands. And that's how it started. If you look at it, it logically dictates she leaves the land of the tower and goes on a crusade to spread grace throughout the lands between. And the people in opposition fought. And grace was thrown all over but grace, she brandished the Elden ring. She threw grace everywhere, and people came flocking to have it. They wanted to be a part of this new world. They didn't want to be a part of the old world. This was amazing. You healed my wound. You saved my kid. You did this. You brought my fucking husband back to life. Let's go. I'm with you. What do you need? I will make you more babies. If you need more people in your army, let's go. Imagine not feeling pain anymore. Body aches are gone. You feel refreshed and revitalized. You see the world anew. It's so crisp and clear. I am with it. Give me grace. Like, yeah, you're on board. Now you are a part of America's flocks. You are a part of the Church of America. And now your job is to spread that shit. Take this, boom, become a priest of this, that, and the other. Here's some occultation eyes in case you run into anybody who says no. And that's it. That's how it spread. It spread like wildfire because people could see it. That's why Ronnie's ending is so, as much as I don't like her, it makes the most sense for that wish to take away, to have it more like the human realm here that is playing the game, to have the gods and goddesses and the powers and the understanding of how they work and the history, but all that removed so far away that we don't even know if it's real. We just know it works. Things are working. So there has to be some power governing it, but we don't know. We don't have a truth beyond the shadow of this and that and the other, and that's it. We have these ruins. We don't know what they mean. We have this thing over there. We don't know what that is. We don't have it. Ronnie takes the power away, takes all of that away from the lands between itself and houses it far, far away so that people can't even touch it. They can't smell it. They can't sense it. They just know something's there, right? The one ending I like is the Dustborn where, hey, we're a part of the lands too. We always been here. It's always been like this. It hasn't been always been like this. We're kind of fucked up because of what happened, but we've always been here. You know, that the suppressing pillar says it all in the DLC. You know, all manner of death wash up here, only to be suppressed. Like it's not allowed to leave and go back to its rightful cycle because the Erd Tree is fucking plugging it up. It's taking the balance is all off. So that for me was big because I was like, okay, so you have the eclipse at the top, the occultation, the priesthood doing the occultations in people's eyes that don't want to conform, okay? And then towards the bottom of the Elden Ring, you have another eclipse. Now, here's where I was like, okay, maybe there was another moon. Or maybe, like the twin moon. Or maybe there was another such conjunction to occur, but this time the pieces weren't all in place, the stars weren't right, the city of Ryla couldn't rise from the depths. No, it just didn't work, which is why we find that ghost at Castle Saul saying, sorry, the eclipse happened, it came and went, our prayers were lacking, now your soulless, comrade will remain soulless. Basically, it's like, hey, it didn't work. We can't put his soul back into his body. But you can't do it for any of them. Now, that's what I'm trying to say. Did this occur when the other walking mausoleums were in action? When they were filled with soulless demigods that were killed? The mausoleums that house actual soulless demigods are guarded by that demigods' the sworn knights to protect it in death. Now, what are you protecting it from? They don't want anyone to put their bodies to the tree because of what happened with Godwin. Reintroducing death into the natural cycle that way didn't work because the Elden Ring and America are still functioning with the Erd Tree, even though the Erd Tree is just a fucking husk. That power is still in it. The Elden Beast is still in charge. The Elden Ring is still calling the shots. So that second eclipse didn't go off. We still got the headless fucking mausoleum knights roaming around the lands between, restlessly, ceaselessly waiting for their fucking Lord's soul to return to their body so they can be reborn. And then the headless will die. So that's another thing. It's like once this soul, lost soul, returns to the body, they'll be resurrected. And the headless mausoleum knights can rest. Now, that's a big bank. That's some loyalty right there. That's one. The headless mausoleum knights are one of my favorite characters in the game. Factions, really, because they're like, I'm going to serve my God, my Lord, who just happens to be a demigod, in life as fiercely as I did in death, because I believe in them so much, and I believe it's my duty to do this because what happened to them was wrong. They weren't supposed to die. Demigods are supposed to be eternal. They're supposed to live forever or ascend if they're Empyreans. This didn't happen. Neither of those things occurred because they were cut down before they could do that. Essentially, that's basically the bottom line in any knighthood mentality. So we're going to be good knights and we're going to serve our Lord in death as well, or undeath, or whatever, however the fuck you want to try to call it. But it's okay. Why? Still don't know. All right, I'm going to take a drink and I'm going to light this bowl and we're going to get into my first, actually, this is my second list. All right, I got to check off what I've actually, I don't want to repeat myself. Yep, we did that. The Upright Graves, Eclipse, Occultation, Yeah, so that was the other thing. Eclipse and occultation. What America could have done to use occultation to cover the land of the tower and make and make um it become the land of shadow. Yeah, I mean she used a humongous occultation to obscure a whole region of the land and obscure. So occultation makes you forget too. It's not just like, oh, I can't see. You forget. You can't remember. Don't you think it's weird that everybody in the lands between doesn't remember Melina or Mesmer or Rolana's sister or the people that left the lands between to fight in the land of the tower? Gaius? None of these people, no one knows them. Sure, they might have been written out of the history books, okay. But they're not mentioned by anybody. No sort of lore. No song. That one. No song. This was hidden from everyone. And it was the spell, the power, the energy that America had to use to pull this shit off. With the use of the Elden Ring, probably, and the Erdtree, all no holds bars. Had to use the power of the Erdtree itself to obscure the land of the tower and make it the land of shadow. That is some shit. That, and you can get that. You need Omen blood to get there. That's why we can go there. We have Omen blood. We have Mohg's blood in us when Vare fucking stabs that shit inside our nail. In our finger. We have Mohg's blood inside of us. She lead us, touch the withered arm. You got me. You have to have it in you. Ansbach has it in him. I don't know how the rest of those motherfuckers got it, but those two right there, me and Ansbach, I figured out real quick how he got there. So you need that blood to get there, to access it, because the blood knocks out the occultation. The Omen blood, the horn scent blood allows you to see the realm as it truly is. For development's sake, it's easy to switch between maps and keep it fresh. That makes sense. But literally, you're walking there. Or, how I was thinking about it earlier was like, I'm taking a fucking Mohg blood teleport into this fucking realm of shadow because it's a cursed blood. It's the blood. It's the Omen blood. But that just makes more sense to me. Okay, so let me grab a drink and then I'll start running through this real quick.